Hey guys, this is TGStudios in Roblox Studio. I thought I'd do a follow-up video since I got the likes on the previous video for George on the last video that I'd done about him. So this is going to be a talk through of his script, of basically how I programmed his brain, if you like. And you have to excuse me, I'm still a little bit sick, and because of that I've got a mouthful of ulcers, so might sound a bit different than usual. Anyway, so usually ulcers don't stop me from programming and things, but it might stop me from talking now and again. So to counteract that, you might excuse me a couple of times where I'll sort of I've got some tea here, sort of just to refresh my mouth, if you like. Anyway, so straight into his brain. The way you let's actually go through what his behaviour sort of thing. At the moment, George, when I start the game, he is looking for any kind of vehicle in the game. The vehicles have to have if we can find them, it has to have a vehicle seat inside the vehicle for him to actually use the vehicle. So the vehicle seat can be anywhere inside the actual vehicle itself, like in these centrifuge I've got over here that I featured in the last video. The vehicle seat is inside another group within the centrifuge group, where the vehicle seat can be anywhere inside that group. He's not clever enough to work out if you've got multiple vehicle seats inside the vehicle. Let's just say this capsule had two vehicles on each side, if you like. He would pick one at random, so it'd be a 50-50 chance of him picking the one that would drive. So he will pathfind to that vehicle when he finds one. Like, if I actually start it, and he might even go to this one. Hopefully. Assuming Roblox hasn't broken him. George, there's some centrifuge over there. Are you awake? Hello George. Are you going to perform for me tonight? Hey, or this morning? Hey? Oh yeah. Just hoping that Roblox hadn't broken him yet. This is the first trial run of him, or should I say the first run of recording while talking through his brain. So hopefully, no, he is animating. His arm's just moving just slightly. George, go on. There's a centrifuge over there. Go on. Your favourite thing. Let's move you closer. Oh, okay. Apparently he doesn't like it. George, get over there. No, he's not going to go over there. Yeah, so as people might say, who's in the sort of the tele recording jobs and things, I don't know what you call those people. Say do not work with animals or children. In my case, it's animal, children, and AI, because they always he is basically a child, so he doesn't do what he's told. George, go over there, will you? It looks like he's not going to do it. I'm not 100% sure why he's not going to do that. There's something that's not truing in his brain. It's yeah, his brain is still very experimental, if you like. So anyway, I'll continue on, if you like. So once he finds the vehicle, he'll jump into that vehicle seat and then attempt to drive it by setting these values down here, which is throttle, steer, and I don't think he touches the torque. He's also got a override switch, where in this case I had to set it to sort of do the override, because the steering part of it does not work in this vehicle, because it just when you press W it just goes round, and you can't steer it in a centrifuge, not in this centrifuge anyway. So he goes into it, tries to drive it, and then he's clever enough to work out to sort of roam around in a normal vehicle, so he will drive it and then drive to a random point. I can't remember if I actually programmed him a pathing system, apart from the pathing system that he's actually using now is the Roblox's pathing system. So let's just say if there's a block in the way of it where he wants to go to, it'll walk around it 50% of the time. See previous video of examples of him not or walking straight into the walls and things. So yeah, and then if the vehicle that he's seeking has actually been occupied by a player or another AI like him, he will ignore that vehicle unless there's another free seat in that vehicle, so he might come along and sit beside you. I haven't tested that part out yet, and of course at the moment I think he's becoming sentient because he's not doing what I want him to do. Anyway, let's go into his brain. Oh boy, this is going to be a long one. Yeah, so he's got the basic animation. It's basically he's using the same animation as a R15, was it R16 humanoid for players. R15. All I did was went into game in the studio, went into my player, and then copied everything inside that my player, and then just changed the skin to George. So he's using the more up-to-date rig type. So that's how I sort of upgraded him, just basically copy and paste. So he's got a death script, which is what I'm still making, where the old death script that he's got used to be like my my guest death script, where they sort of die, crosses become the eyes, and then he sort of all his limbs get welded together so they move. And I think in my last video that I've done, my guest spawner, you get a guest sort of as I kill it. I know, killing guest, sacrilege. As I kill it, the guest sort of starts dancing around because it's dead, and it's basically welded together, but not quite welded. I think I'm actually using a glue as a hinge, so as he's sort of dancing around, it looks like he's dancing as I move him. So yeah, that's what happens with the old death script. On the current death script, he's basically just destroys himself and then creates a clone, and then once a few seconds have passed, in this case 1 second, I think after he dies it's 3 seconds before he respawns. No, 4 seconds, because he waits 3 seconds after the initial death, and then he destroys himself and then creates a clone of himself, if you like, and then waits a further second before putting that clone of himself back into the workspace. And of course then it's just basically a regen script, if you like. The only difference to this death script, or regen script if you like, is I'm looking for any kind of spawn location inside the workspace. If there is one, then he gets spawned on top of that spawn location, and that's how the death script works. So let's get into the actual his brain. So this is going to be a long one. Look at this lot. Nearly 500 lines. So as I said before, he's got values for his vehicle. So that's his vehicle that he's actually riding, or currently controlling, as I've commented there, and the vehicle that he sees and he wants to get into, if you like. This self up here is basically just referencing basically him, if you like, or the group that makes up him. The me value is basically setting to his humanoid object. The sight radius is basically how far I can see. The wander distance is of course as it says, how far he wanders in studs. Then this next one is where he spawned in. He will use that if there's no spawn location, so he'll remember where he was placed in the game for next time when he respawns. And this my position is his current position, which in this case is his spawn location when it first runs. That will change later on in the code. This elite tag is basically because I've programmed into him a sick if he gets travel sick or something. So if he goes over a few, say, let's call it mile an hour or studs per second. If he goes over, I think 50 or 60 studs per second, he gets sick. So that's what the following values are all about, just determining if he's sick or not, if you like. So this flag is basically just to turn that off if you want, and he's also got a chance of 100% to be elite. In other words, if you don't ever get travel sick. So that's what the elite chance and the override does. The is sick is basically a flag to tell the system is, or his brain, if he's sick or not. And the roam override is what I've just been talking about with his centrifuge. That is basically if you want him to just push the throttle, or should I say make it go forward, and only do that and not wander. If that's too false, no, wait a minute. Roam override means it's been a while since I've been with him. Let's have a look. Let's find it. What did I set for roam override? Oh, that's a value I can get rid of them. I forgot about that. That's why I can't remember it, because it's not in the actual code itself. Oh well, I'll probably get rid of that one. I think what I was thinking there when I made it was if I wanted him to possibly patrol or something, like patrol round a set circuit, if you like. This next one is for vehicle. In this case I've got it set to true because the centrifuge, you cannot turn a centrifuge other than going forward, or to say round. So if that was set to false, he will try and turn the vehicles to a random point, if you like, and they go forward. He's not a very good driver because sometimes he sort of drives off the base plate. So yeah, this next one is max sick. That's actually used to determine if he is sick or not. So if that goes above, I think that value there, he becomes sick. And he's also got a wellness meter. It's been a while since I've programmed this. I'm just trying to remember what I put here. So the OK meter is basically how well he is, if you like. And that is the threshold before he actually becomes sick. So if he gets to max sick, then he throws up. If he gets to that value, he will show it that he's unwell, if you like. Yeah, so that's the tolerance that he has to get to before he's actually sick. And of course the illness speed even, and the rotation speed, how fast he's rotating. And that is used for basically just to keep track of the game ticks. This next value is basically if he gets sick in the vehicle because it's going too fast or something, he will put it into this list and he will not go into that vehicle again, basically. And this is how many times before he actually ignores the vehicle that he's in, before he actually becomes sick. And this next one is, I think if I remember correctly, is as it says there, a questionable sick vehicle, which is basically if he was sick in that vehicle beforehand, he will remember that it sort of gave him a rough time last time, and if that's not nil, he may try it again. So quite complex. And this ignore threshold is basically how many times before he sort of ignores the vehicle. And this is just basically like a on touch script, where if you touch something in Roblox, it will always trigger. In this case, when the way I programmed it is when he becomes sick, if I didn't have that debounce into there, it will always trigger, so it would never get sick. So I programmed that into a little switch, so it only triggered once. Well, once to trigger to tell him if he's sick or not, basically. The next one is quite an interesting one, which is what's taken me quite a while to actually work out how to do. It involves working out what rotation a brick is in 3D space, and I've worked it out to about a rotation of in degrees between 0 and 180 degrees. So if a vehicle sort of flips over, it will be 180. So if the angle of the seat goes above 110 degrees, he will attempt to jump out, kind of like a normal player would do. So you can set that there. So if you wanted him to go jump out when it gets on its side, you just set that to 90. I do hope I'm explaining this right, because it's been a while since I looked at his code. That's what I believe it is anyway. So the tick here is basically a basic recorder for the tick rate of the game, if you like, and that is how many seconds before he actually checks for a vehicle, which in this case of him not checking for the centrifuge, I think the bug is either that or he's somehow added the centrifuge in his ignore vehicle list. I'll have to debug him later to work out why he's not doing what I ask him to do. So the next one is his current point in the path, where if, let's just say if a vehicle is behind a wall, he would use the current point in the Roblox's pathfinding service. It returns vector 3 values for the in the shape of a path around obstacles and things. And the last one is basically that path, just a table that holds the points for the path, or vector 3 values for the path. And then this is where I set the elite tag. It's if the elite override is set to true, it will set that value to true. And oh, excuse me. And I think I set it to a math random between a value of 100% and elite chance, whatever that is. I think I've set it up top there somewhere. Or if we want to set it to true, set it to true. Basically, it's just an inline if statement together with a ambiguous function to return that. Then if elite is true, it sets his face to a more cooler colour, if you like, so you can tell it if he's elite or not in game. Otherwise it puts it back to its normal default colour, which is pastel brown. So the next table that I've got here is basically what face he uses for the sickness system, where usually that's the OK sort of face. It just holds the IDs Roblox's decal IDs in the table. So at the moment he's on the OK face, if you like. Then if he ever gets ill, he will show the illness face. Let's actually show that. So copy. George, I'm going to change your face a bit. Don't worry, it's just only plastic surgery. There won't be any repercussions for this. There we go. So that's the sick face, if you like. And then when he gets above his threshold of being sick, he will be sick, and so this will be the face. So if I paste that into there, and of course it, like in the video, there'll be a stream, a particle stream. I can actually show that. Are we? Where did I put his mouth? There it is, looking at me. So if I enable that, did I set his original size in, I think? So how come that's not running? I think Roblox has changed something, or I'm doing something really stupid. Probably the second. Yeah, there should be particles that are coming out now. Apparently it's not running. George, I'm going to make you sick. Let's have a look. Yeah, this particle emitter is not actually working for some reason. Hold on. Let's do a little test to see if it's actually Roblox or my coding. Where's this particle emitter? So it's not Roblox. Okay. So what is going on with that then? Roblox, you crazy. Yeah, so that works. So what is going on? Well, you get the idea. Oh well, more bugs to fix. Anyway, so yeah, he sort of throws up, sort of thing. So the next bit is the body colours, if you like. So it's basically the look of him, which is that. So it sets the body head colour to the face colour, which is either for elite, which is cool yellow, yellow, or pastel brown if he's not elite. Right, so we come across the first function, if you like. This function returns if he finds a vehicle within the workspace. So this is the main function that looks for vehicle seats, if you like, as stated there. It's basically just a glorified zombie script, if you like, or function that if you ever look inside a zombie hunt script, if you like, and you find a similar looking as this, although I think it's in a for loop rather than a while true do loop. I think I did it for a while vehicle equals nil do. I think I did that so it always runs. I could actually change that back to a for loop. I think I've just found out where the bug is now. Yay, bug hunting on camera. Because I think what's happening is he's going looking for a vehicle, calling the function, and then it's getting trapped inside this while true do loop. Although I do have the max number of tries there, so if he goes above 200 tries it breaks out. I don't know. So anyway, this function is meant to, as I say, look for a vehicle. So I get the base plate, which is workspace, excuse me, burping or hiccuping if you like, and it checks for a vehicle inside that model. So I'm just trying to work out what he's doing there. So he's looking for the model, he finds the model. If the model equals not equal nil, oh, that's why I'm in a while true do loop. It's because I'm using a recursion thing where I set, if it's a model, I set the part, which is what we're looking at, to the model, and then next loop the model would be that part, if you like, or in this case the model. So if it finds a vehicle within any part of that vehicle, a vehicle seat inside that vehicle, sorry, he will reference that with this value here, which is which I'm testing to see if it's nil or not. If it's already been set, then it breaks out of this while true do loop, if you like. Or if you can't find the vehicle within 20 loops, which is 20 game ticks, I think I've got it at, he will break out of that anyway, and this will return nil. Otherwise, if we found a vehicle, he will return the vehicle's seat, which would be, in this case, it would be not that, be that basically. So that's what that function does. That's all it does basically. So the next one is checking to see if the vehicle seat is within his ignored vehicle list. So if it is, then it sets a flag back as true. Otherwise, if it's not in his seat, it returns false. That's basically all that does. Oh, wait a minute. Ah! I didn't say that. I said that was the thing that finds the vehicle seats. It's not. It's actually the one that looks for the vehicle seat inside a model. Ah! That pays to go through it before I record, but whatever. Hey ho! I forgot I did this bit here. This is the main part of the script where he looks for a vehicle, basically. Yeah, so I'm calling that above script by this vehicle seat within this function. So there's a lot of recursion, if you like. I'll have a drink of tea. Lovely tea. So yeah, so if he finds a vehicle within a particular model in the workspace, this will be V seed will be nil. So he also checks to see if it's ignored, and it goes through this function that I just described what it does. If it's ignored, it can come back as ignored. If it's not, then he adds it to his list of possible vehicles, if you like. You is bad. So then I go through that list and to check to see what the closest vehicle to him is, and then it returns that vehicle back to the main loop, if you like. This function here is using Roblox's if I actually make this a bit more readable, there we go. So this is just using the service of pathfinding service, so you can actually walk around objects. So it's basically just I pass it a target. It could be, the target could be the position of this vehicle seat, if you like. So it will call the service to work out a path between him and the target, and then I'm doing a few checks with that service to see if the status has any errors. Basically, if it starts at an area inside a wall, which I believe is what's happening there, but that tag is there, it will not it'll come back as false or no path. And if the empty part of it is not empty, which I'm not 100% sure if that's working correctly, it comes back as false as well. Basically, if the end part is inside a brick or something, which in this case it might actually come back as false, or don't compute the path. And then all I'm doing then is returning the points of that pathfinding service, basically the path between George and the vehicle, or George and the roam point, which is what he was actually using when we were trying to move him, and he went back to his spawn point. So that's basically what that does.